It was a bad night to have the meeting because of the debate, but I promise you'll be out in plenty of time to get home to see the debate. I know we have some of our friends here that I don't want to go unnoticed, that our best friends actually in West Boca that keep us safe. Captain Moss. And Captain Moss, you want to give an update? Anything going on that we need to know about?
Sure, Lieutenant DeFegos. Elliot, where's my list? Anybody got my list?
Right here.
Oh, save your seat.
So as Sherry said, I'll make it quick, but for all the crime stats that we track here in West Boca, being it burglaries, robberies, stolen vehicles, year to date, just good news, we're down. We're down in all our categories.
Yay.
So yeah, a real good thing. Also, I know the traffic on Escondido Way has always been a topic that comes up time and again. So I just wanted to give an update on Escondido Way. So the Sheriff's Office, within the last year and a half, we've actually ran 2 separate traffic operations in that area to deter speeders, to slow everyone down. And during our last meeting, we meet with some citizens of the community. The topic came up again, so we put a speed trailer out there, and that speed trailer monitored traffic in both north and southerly directions. And after 2 weeks, we gathered all the statistics, and what happened is the speed limit out there is 40 miles an hour, and the average speed for the vehicles ended up being 42 miles an hour. So it's a good thing. So yes, we do continuously receive concerns. Some, more of a perceived, I believe, speeding area. I don't see anything improving anytime soon as far as the county traffic division changing the roadway pattern there. But I just want to let you guys know that the Sheriff's Office has taken any concerns, and we've put our deputies out there to enforce. So that's pretty much it on my end. Does anyone have any questions for the Sheriff's Office? No? Okay. Sounds good. Moving on. That's it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We also have Andrew Watts from Palm Beach County Clerk of Courts. Andrew, you want to give us any update, anything we need to know, or?
No updates. The only thing I would recommending to everyone, if you go to mypalmbeachclerk.com, search property fraud alert. It is a free service we provide. Type in your name, address, parcel ID number, anything that's filed on your property, you will get a notification within 48 hours. You'll know whether it's you, someone else, and if there is a fraudulent issue, then you can reach out to your sheriff's office, and they'll be able to help start an investigation for you.
Thank you. So we'll have all that information on our website. I don't know if anybody's tried our website, but we're in the process of updating it, and I'm hoping that it'll be done within the next couple of weeks. So, but there'll be a lot of information. And if you're not friends with us on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, friend us, or at least go to the West Boca Community Council's Facebook page, because we post stuff every single day, important information, whether it's from Lake Worth Drainage, South Florida Water Management, the Sheriff's Office, the fire station, all the good things that are going on that's important, and we'll post that as well. We also have Roger Machad here, Palm Beach County Property Appraiser. Roger, you the one responsible for sending out those? Oh, no, that's not you that sends out the
Yes,
taxes.
my name is Roger Machado with the Palm Beach County Property Appraisal Office. Thank you guys for having me here. By now, you've all received your proposed property taxes. It's not a bill, it's rather based on proposed tax rates, your property value, and exemptions. This also gives you the time to review the bill, as well as call us for any questions and or concerns. If you don't agree with your value, you also have the time to file an appeal with clerk of court. Deadline to file is this coming Monday at 5 o'clock at our office or any closest office near you. You also have time to do an informal discussion with the appraiser that handles your property by contacting our office as well. So I encourage you to look at the bill. If you have any questions, give us a call, and we'll be happy to help you. Thank you.
We also have Mindy Cox here for running for Palm Beach County School Board. Thank you for attending.
Thank you guys for having me. I just want to say I can't stress this enough. If you do not already vote by mail, this ballot is 2 pages long, and the pages are this long. I know, because I saw them last week. It's going to be a very lengthy time to vote in person. If you can make a reservation at the supervisor's office to vote, and pick a time that's convenient for you, and hopefully they'll have that time open for you. But if the line is around the buildings, which is what everybody is kind of expecting, you can vote by mail. You can order a vote by mail and still vote in person. I'm just saying, in order to make it simple for yourselves, order a vote by mail. You can do it over the phone, 561-626-6200. You'd think I worked there. And thanks so much for your votes over in the primary, and I hope you'll all come out and vote in November, because that's a really important vote for all of us, from the school board, which is the very last race, to the President of the United States. And thanks so much for having me. Thanks, Sherry.
Actually, next month, we will have someone from the League of Women Voters that'll go through the amendments that are being proposed. We'll also have somebody here from the school board regarding the 1/2 cent sales tax that's being proposed. So that's next month. We look forward to having everyone here, as well as there'll be other candidates here as well. We have Louis Goldberg from Congressman Moskowitz's office.
Yes, hi. So Congressman Moskowitz is most of your congresspersons. If you live north of Yamato Road or west of the Turnpike, Congressman.
I know people are watching, so I don't know what you're doing wrong.
In either case, though, our offices are here to help. I have this flyer that I left on the table over there with all of our contact information. If you ever have any issues with federal agencies, issue with Social Security, you need help getting your passport, things like that, our office is there. We're ready to help you. Just give us a call and we'll do our best. That's all we got.
Next, these are the West Boca Community Council Board of Directors that work tirelessly every single month, whether it's meeting with the Parks and Recs department, making phone calls, arranging for the speakers for our meetings. And I want to recognize all of them. We have Jana, Andrea, Elliot, Nick, and Paul. So with that being said, just a quick update, some things that are going on. I have been in contact and meeting with Representative Silvers, who actually represents the northern part of the district. And we've been talking about the turnpike or a turnpike interchange on Palmetto Park. Many years ago, it was proposed and it was funded, and it was put away. We had the foreclosure crisis going on, so the Department of Transportation put that on the back burner. If anybody's traveled on Glades in the morning or during rush hour, you know it is impossible to get through and get past the turnpike. We believe, and we've always believed this, that if there was a turnpike interchange on Palmetto, ideally we would like it further south in Broward County, but that won't happen. The turnpike interchange that was designed for there, it would alleviate a lot of the traffic on Glades Road, it would alleviate a lot of the traffic on Lyons Road. So we will continue to work with Representative Silver and hope that it does get included in their future plan, which we know that if it went in this year, it's 5 years out for the funding and the building, and then of course every delay. I mean, if you look at Lyons Road, the delay that the county took in getting that done. So you can only imagine with the state, the delay on that. So what's going on in West Boca? A lot of good things, actually. I know this is why a lot of you are here. And I've invited Alex Rosemurgy, who developed Uptown Boca, which has been very successful. It's a beautiful place. And we worked on that. Alex, I think, just told me it was 9 years ago, the first time that we met and sat down and talked about what they were thinking of, and continually met with us to get our ideas on the finished product. And I think that it's turned out well. It's a great meeting place for people in West Boca. So Alex, you want to come up and give us an update?
Thank you, Sherry. So, yeah, 9 years ago, can't believe it was 9 years ago, we met with Sherry for the first time. I had hair back then, I was a lot younger. We had a plan that we put together. A little background on myself. Some of you all may remember from those days when we were doing the rounds in West Boca. Lane's attorney Scott Backman in the back of the room. And, you know, I'm really proud of the way we handled that project from the very beginning. We knew that the most important people in the community were yourselves and the residents. And for us, it was really about making sure we developed a project that met the market in a way that you all would be proud of. I'm born and raised in Boca Raton, and so for me and my brother-in-law, who also lives here, Brian Schmier, who co-developed it with me, it was really important we did right by you guys. And I think that's what makes the difference between good projects and great projects. I'll never forget the first time I met with Sherry. I say this all the time. She wanted 4 things. She wanted an organic grocery store, which we'll deliver with Whole Foods.
Right.
She wanted a sit-down restaurant, preferably with white tablecloths, which we got with Lenora's. She wanted a movie theater. We failed on that one miserably. You know, long story there. And she also wanted a Chick-fil-A. So we got to the Chick-fil-A as well. So, listen, I thought we got 3 out of 4 right, 75%. That's a C, but, you know, we're really proud of what we developed. You know, what's interesting here is that the bulk of the project was the multifamily. I personally was the developer and took the lead day-to-day on that part of it. And I think we designed an incredible multifamily project that met the market perfectly with a great amenity base. What I'm most proud about is the kids' playground in the back. And while going back there, I still go back there, I go to dinner and I walk back there and I see no end of families hanging out there with their children. My kids play on that playground still. And so, you know, really, it was a great project through and through. It was a record-breaking transaction at the time we sold it. I was really sad to sell it. I still think it was the biggest mistake that my firm made in transacting that deal, but, you know, worst things that could happen. And then we still own the retail, and we've spent an enormous amount of time getting the retail right. When we started this deal, we had a grocery store in tow. You all may remember it was Lucky's Grocery Market. In some ways, listen, developers are right, but they also get really lucky. They ended up not making it prior to COVID. If that would have happened a few months earlier, they probably would have been a worse story. We were able to re-tenant that space, and we brought in a best-in-class grocery store and Whole Foods, which ultimately, Sherry, that was your dream. I mean, that's what you wanted there, right? And then through and through, we were able to get REI, which is doing very, very well, and a host of restaurants that we think, I hope you guys all enjoy a lot, you know, and all of them are doing very, very well to this day. You're probably going to ask me what's going on the west side. I can't kind of say exactly what's going on. You see home census signs up. There is some type of fitness tenant coming in at some point in time, and you guys can all let the rumors abound. So, but other than that, everything is going very, very well, and open to take questions or comments or concerns about the center.
When will Whole Foods be here?
I will tell you it's going to be the first half of next year. The exact date we don't know, but they're moving.
Are they able to hire?
Are they able to hire? I don't know. I might need a job too, so we'll see.
Have they come to you and told you about any concerns they have in hiring?
No.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question? It's very hard to hear when they're...
Concerns about hiring, we have not heard anything, so. Any other questions? Yes.
HomeSense, is that the signs up?
Yep.
When will that be opening?
We think, let's say first half of next year. First half of next year. Any other questions? Is that it? You guys gonna let me off easy tonight? Is that it? All right, well, thank you so much. I hope that answers other questions.
One thing I want to point out, because I don't know a lot of people know this, that they can't find parking. There is a parking garage that you can utilize in the southwest corner.
Right.
There is a parking garage, so I think a lot of people think it's only surface parking. There's actually a garage there.
Related to that, I love Uptown. I love the restaurants, love going there. I live less than 2 miles away. But one of the things I think that hasn't been dealt with your streets are very narrow
Inside the project?
inside,
Yeah.
so buses cannot go through. So I wonder if any application has been made to the county for the 91 bus, which passes along Glades and also goes up 95, for there to be a bus stop for those of us who no longer drive, who gave up our cars. You have handicapped people, and there really is no way for them, without driving, to get inside. So I was just hoping that maybe you could make application to Department of Transportation, whoever the powers may be, to cut bus stops for you, at least one.
Inside the project?
Not inside, it could be along Glades, as long as, you know, along Glades, there's a setback where there's grass and what have you. Certainly, it's just a curve.
I think there's a bus stop though on the north.
There is.
Yes.
But again, that's a lot of
That's a
walking.
lot of walking, yeah.
So, and I'm talking about a particular class of people who are, you know, you have a lot of seniors there, seniors, as I call them. And it would be nice if we could get in there easily
Right.
without,
Right, you're looking for something maybe,
On 95th.
On 95th.
95th, on
We'll
95th,
certainly talk to the county
before
about
you
that.
get to the little circle for Whole Foods, where Whole Foods is going in,
Yeah, makes sense.
it'd be a great spot.
Yeah.
And the bus passes there anyway.
The bus passes by that entrance,
Yes, so 4 times a day it actually goes into,
so it goes into the JCC, or what does it do?
just for the JCC,
Just
it
for
turns
JCC.
around.
And so all you're just asking for is to stop there before
You
it
know,
goes
like where
inside, right?
Chick-fil-A is on the corner,
Right,
right there, would be absolutely great.
okay, all right.
Thank you.
We'll look into that, and we'll see if there's something that we can do.
Sounds good.
Is the parking garage free?
Yes. For the moment, just kidding.
All right, see you later.
Thank you, Alex. Next, Alex said that their first stop was to come and visit me in the West Boca Community Council when they were looking to develop. And if you go back to the meetings that we had, our public meetings, and there were people that were opposed to the shopping center going in, saying traffic, and I kept saying the traffic is already here, it's either gonna pull in or it's gonna continue straight. That is exactly what's happened here. We heard from so many people what it was that they were looking for, which we kept relaying back to Alex, that this is what the people want, and I've got to say thank you, Alex. You were extremely accommodating, except for the theater, but we'll let that go. So I was happy when I got a call from Scott Backman. Well, let me back up 1 second. I said once Uptown was built, it will raise the bar for the rest of our shopping centers, especially Shadowood, that seems to have been neglected for so long. And it's exactly what's happening. I got a call from Scott Backman a couple months ago that the shopping center had been sold, and could he come and introduce the representative of the buyer of the shopping center and hear what they were thinking and to get some input from us. So I'm happy to say that I met with Scott and Nicole Scheinman, and we've met several times, and their project is coming together, and I want to share it with all of you. I think it's exciting. It's something that Shadowood needs badly, and also get your input, that because it is in the developing stages, your input is important. You're the customers. So with that being said, Nicole, you want to come up, or Scott, give a presentation?
We came with graphics and materials for you guys, unlike Alex.
Hi.
Here, Alex, why don't you hand those out on this side? So these are just some materials about what Nicole was going to talk about Edens. There you go. So I just want to pass them around. They're all different, just to give you an idea of what Nicole's going to be speaking about.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Sherry, for that very kind introduction. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you, and thank you so much for having me and the team here today. I'm Nicole Scheinman, and Sherry, thank you. It's been an awesome introduction to this West Boca community, getting to know you, and thank you guys for having us here tonight. I'm a managing director. I'm a managing director with Edens. I've been with Edens for almost 10 years. And we purchased this shopping center just about a year ago. On a personal note, I also live in Boca. It seems like Bocaites like to come and develop in Boca. I live in Boca with my husband and 3 kids. And so, though we do lots of execution and development across the country, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who we are as Edens, this one is particularly close to the heart as someone who lives in Boca and excited to transform what I think is an incredible corner in an amazing submarket, which is West Boca, and be part of that really awesome positive change. So before I dive into the property, for those who may not know much about Edens, let me start there. So Edens is a national platform. We operate across the country. We own about 100 grocery-anchored mixed-use places. We really specialize in retail mixed-use development is our strong competency. And we're a 50-year-old business. We started out of the Southeast. It was a family-owned business that had its roots in grocery. It was a gentleman named Joe Edens who owned grocery stores, ultimately sold those grocery stores, and we really became real estate operators, owners, and developers. We've been focused in Florida for about 20 years now. We have a fully vertically integrated team. What that basically means is we believe to execute the type of retail and placemaking that we focus on, you need local operators. So we have an office in Fort Lauderdale where we have competencies in every vertical of retail real estate. We do all of our leasing in-house, so our leasing team only leases our properties. We don't use third parties. Our property managers work for Edens and only Edens properties. We have in-house marketing, branding, construction, tenant coordination, investment management, and so we really pride ourselves on boots on the ground, and that's a big part of what allows us to unlock value and to really create place. We also are owners who are long-term focused. We don't sort of buy, fix, and flip. We own, and we tend to own generationally, and we really see our big investments as opportunities to invest in a community for decades. And for that reason, we make choices that are maybe different than some of our peers in terms of design, green space, public art, placemaking, the notion of merchandising and how we put tenants together. And so our ethos and how we think about retail development, I think is unique. And to Alex's credit and Brian's credit at Uptown, I think you guys embody a lot of that ethos as well, and it's unique in our business. And so I think Uptown's been a great example of what great retail execution can be in West Boca, and we're really excited to hopefully follow and continue to add to the great ecosystem, the ecosystem in West Boca more generally. So that's a little bit about Edens and about our platform. I will note, you may know some of our work. We about 5 or 6 years ago bought a property called Lakeside Center, which is located at Glades and the Turnpike. And we have, in the last 5 years or so, really repositioned and transformed that property, invested a lot of capital. We added a Publix, we added an out parcel, we built some green space, and added some public art. And I think that's really a good representation of the type of improvement we like to make when we buy a property. And I think some of those features you'll see as part of the Shadowood vision. But again, this being such a monumental corner in West Boca, we really think about the transformation here as being in some ways a bigger version of what we were able to do at Lakeside. And from that perspective, we're really excited. So moving to the property, just to orient the group on our ownership, and then let's talk through some of the high-level plans. And as Sherry said, really as an initial introduction to Edens and to our plans, would love to hear from this community. Given our ethos, our approach, our long-term ownership, we want to deliver places that serve and amenitize the residents of the community. So from our perspective, success is delivering something that makes you want to visit 3 times a week, that makes you want to spend 5 hours a week. And so this is an awesome forum from our perspective to really hear from you all what's missing and what we can add. In terms of the property, we own almost the whole corner. We do not own the Best Buy and the Starbucks, just for reference. So we own the rest of the corner of Glades and 441, which is about 30 acres. And this is a site plan of what exists in place today. What's unique about Shadowood relative to Uptown, as an example, which was a ground-up new development, is we obviously have a lot of existing infrastructure here and a lot of existing buildings and leases. And we're really excited. We bought this about a year ago. The prior owner had owned this for about 30 years. And I think you all, as residents of the community, are aware that very little was invested in this property for a long, long time. And so we're really excited to step in here and really change the trajectory, recognizing that there's elements of this property that will remain in place and will continue to operate, given the operating nature of the center. So the plan, from an execution perspective, is in this row of retail from Old Navy sort of through Sprouts, this is existing retail that's largely leased. Similarly, you have these out parcels that similarly are largely leased. There's some opportunities here and there, and when we find them, we are going to go out and solicit great best-in-class tenants to really upgrade the merchandising. But a lot of the sort of in-place improvements will remain in place. With that said, we certainly have plans for upgrading and refreshing what is there in the immediate term. So in this, what I'll call the front of the property here, and the existing portion of the property that's operating, the intent is, in the immediate term, to step in and do a refresh in terms of the facades and the general look and feel of the property. We're actually in for permits as we speak, and should be in a position within the next 30 to 45 days to start work on what I'll call the existing center. The scope of execution on the existing center is not unlike what you saw at Lakeside, addressing all of the deferred maintenance, new roofing, which is actually underway as we speak. It's new paint, new signage, all the pylons and monuments fully refreshed and rebranded, new landscaping, selective signage opportunities, and really just an overall repositioning and rebranding of the property to reflect, frankly, today's community. And so that will be taking place through the end of this year and early next year, in advance of what we're calling the big phased redevelopment, which I'll get to in a moment. But I think what that will do, and our hope there, is that in the immediate term, really begin to transform the way this property looks and feels, and really allows the community to come get to know us ahead of the big redevelopment execution that's coming. As we think about the heart of the redevelopment and what takes place outside of the refresh of some of the external elements, the heart of the redevelopment is really contemplated in the center of the property, which today has a movie theater, which you'll be aware of. Some of you actually maybe have gone to it recently. There is an operator in there that is operating it on a short-term basis. There's a dark Bed Bath & Beyond box, and then we have our gymnastics user in the back. And so the heart of our redevelopment execution is really happening in here. And we're really thinking about this as sort of a two-phased execution. Phase one is going to take place in the center of the property, and the strategy and business plan is to remove the existing theater. And we've studied extensively the business model and sort of studied retail demand in the trade area, and I think we're of the view that there's this amazing opportunity to bring in new revitalized retail, single-story retail, at grade level, with a new street grid, with green space, with big sidewalks, a real pedestrian feel, and really deliver to the West Boca community almost like a downtown feel, where you can park, you can spend time, you can go to multiple retailers. And so what you see in boxes in yellow is contemplated as net new single-story retail that will replace the theater footprint. You see green space, large sidewalks, and then this building, which exists today, this was the former Performance Bike space, and this is the Posh Plum space. There is an existing paseo that actually exists today that cuts through the front of the retail and brings you back to the theater. It's a very tight paseo, which I would suspect most of you have never utilized. It doesn't really feel very safe, and it's not very consumer friendly. We've studied this extensively, and we really want to find a way to marry the old with the new and to create real cohesiveness, such that this place, leans into what it was while inviting what's to come. And with that, our business plan here is to expand that paseo We're actually going to peel back the performance bike space a little bit and make it a 25 or 26-foot really beautiful walkway with tea lights and great merchandising and coffee users all along the Paseo, and create this pedestrian access point that allows you to, park in this parking field or this parking field, maybe shop at Sprouts or pick something up at Old Navy and walk through pedestrian access through to the back of this new activation. And what we're really trying to create here is a place that you don't just come, because you need to grab something and leave, but you really come and have an experience and you spend time. And you really enjoy yourself. And from a merchandising perspective, the vision, subject to the input of this group, is really best-in-class food and really elevating the offering from a best-in-class service perspective. We believe there's a real retail offering that can be had here at scale. And you think about today, you need to go to Lululemon, you have to drive to the Boca Mall, or you want to pick up a dress, you drive to the Boca Mall. We believe that the West Boca submarket has evolved to such an extent that these retailers see there being credibility in having a second location in West Boca. And we think that this, with the scale we're delivering, can really be that experience. And I'll show some of these images just because I think it helps maybe paint the picture of what we're envisioning here. But this is a look, if you were to enter on 441, and this is a street that exists, and we are proposing extending this access point through the retail and creating a new grid of streets again that creates a new vehicular pattern, but also pedestrian access. And this is sort of looking from 441 into the project. And you can see wide sidewalks, really activated retail, the Shadowood 16 original signage, which again, we're really looking to kind of mash up the old and the new in some of what we're looking to deliver. So this is sort of gives you a little bit of imagery around the vision. Possibly, and I'm going to get to that in phase 2. This is some of the piece that we're still working through, but possibly. We're sort of exploring a couple of different business plans there. Here's another view looking from the Paseo into the project, and you can see the green space, total pedestrian area, interaction on both sides of retail. To address the question around phase 2 and what could be coming in phase 2. So when we think about phase 2, which again is something we're in the process of studying as we speak, it would be this component of the footprint. We are studying a couple different scenarios for phase 2, one of which would be potentially the addition of residential with retail on the ground, a true sort of mixed use opportunity. And again, I think the success, Alex, that you've had in what you guys delivered and the demand that we've heard from some folks in the community around the deficit of housing is some of the thinking around filling an unmet need in terms of the execution here. We're also studying a parallel path, which would be the execution of a retail configuration here to better, again, reflect sort of the needs of the community with the retail ecosystem moving sort of away from big boxes and more towards niche users. That's sort of what we're contemplating here. So I will tell you that I'll be back to talk further about phase 2 as we explore it. Obviously, there's entitlements and approval processes and timelines that'll be required to get there. But we really have begun to sort of circle around what I'll call phase 1, which is what we believe is a really needed reinvention of a retail delivery here with real ecosystem, green space, experience, and almost like a downtown that you don't need to go to Meisner and drive 25, 30 minutes, but that you can really, between Uptown and Shadowood, really have all the experiences.
It was like that originally. That was the original Shadowood plan, 84. The only difference is your color's different.
Did they
Put in
build
a
this?
Pizza USA, and I forget there's a couple other things, and you'd have the exact same setup. They had that.
That was before my time, but
They had it. Back then, at least.
so I'd like to open it up to questions, and thank you guys very much for having us. We're super excited to have the opportunity to be part of this community. And on a personal note, my kids go to school across the street, so we have a lot riding on this one. Yeah.
Lacking residential areas in West Boca, as we stand now, wouldn't you need workforce housing availability for those projects?
Yes, and I won't get too far into it because, again, we're just exploring the business plans at this point, but certainly there is a code and a requirement around workforce, and to the extent that we pursued this sort of plan, of course, we would be conforming with that. Yeah.
There's such a growth and interest in pickleball. Would you consider indoor pickleball, indoor paddle, indoor rock climbing, so, I mean, there's a lot of great restaurants, but, people want the activity as well.
Certainly. I will actually tell you, we've had a couple of users tour this box that are in that similar category. It's something we absolutely would explore. I think it certainly is a
Because it
consumer
could be all
demand.
ages. You get program for kids as well as
Yeah.
seniors.
Absolutely. We're big believers in the fitness vertical, and I know you guys are doing some stuff on your side too on that. But I think it's a great suggestion.
So since Alex didn't put the theater in Uptown, are we gonna have it in this one?
You're not in this one. And I think that's frankly, Alex, you can chime in here, a bit of a broader macro conversation around the theater business. That's sort of a broader conversation than West Boca. We do have a temporary user that's in the space, VIP Cinemas. Obviously, the infrastructure of that location is challenged and would require substantial upgrading. We weren't able to make, frankly, the economics and business plan work to bring it up.
It's become, to our point, it's become a very tough model to have. We all know, we're all moviegoers. I love going to the movies. One thing about Boca is there's a lot of screens in the market. And you have Cinemark going on at the Turnpike. You've got iPic in Del Rey. You've got what's going on in Deerfield. What you're surprised to see is there's a lot of screens that compete for very few movies. And you have the digital side, which has really changed the landscape of how we watch movies. And the movie theaters are really not that aggressive in their economics to justify the build out that they're looking to do. So it's a very expensive and tough lease to make. And so most landlords, with the cost of land and all the other things going on, we just can't make sense of the numbers. I mean, we had a movie theater in the building that is now being retrofitted, and it's a movie theater we all know, and they're not doing great. There's just not enough movie theater volume and moviegoers today that justify their offer. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
The other point I'd add on that is, look, we are really seeking to create a place that has life day and night. Like, we want this place to be vibing, active, safe. The other challenge beyond the economics, which is a reality, is movies are great activation in the evening, but you have this 40,000 square foot box in the daytime that's dead. And I think, again, with how limited real estate and space is in a market like West Boca, we think that that's the higher, better use for that space in terms of really servicing people day and night would be alternate uses. But I like to go to movies too.
Hi, question. I know that, of course, Whole Foods is coming, and that's great. But with 1,200 new houses coming on 441, would you consider going after Trader Joe's as well?
I am a major Trader Joe's enthusiast on a personal level. They, by the way, would love to be in West Boca, and we would love to bring them to West Boca. You probably explored this too, Alex. We have a grocer on site, which is Sprouts. So we do have some limitations from a contractual perspective as to our ability to do a deal with a group like Trader Joe's. But we're long-term owners. We think they're fantastic. They're looking for a home in West Boca. Who knows if that's an opportunity one day.
Okay, as someone who eats vegan and gluten-free and organic, I'm really happy about Whole Foods, but how about some restaurants that can really satisfy that? There aren't that many. What?
I agree, I'm the same.
Yeah, I mean, they're really, they're hard to find food to eat.
So this is great feedback, and we own a portfolio nationally, and actually a big portfolio in the DC area as an example, a big portfolio in the Southeast where I would say vegan, gluten-free knowledge is more advanced probably than it is today in Florida. I think the great thing we've been able to do is bring retailers from other parts of our portfolio and bring them to new markets. We actually just did this at Lakeside. There's a retailer, Mixology, it's a new women's boutique, who's out of New Jersey, and they happen to be a tenant of ours, and we're like, this is a great opportunity, they moved down. I think that's great feedback if that's a hole in this market, because we have a great stable of really excellent vegan, gluten-free operators who operate in other parts of our portfolio that I think would love to service this community, so we'll put it on the list.
Wouldn't be bad if they were organic also, but just saying.
I'm adding it to the list.
Bed Bath, are we gonna get anything like that in Shadowood or in
In terms of the big box format or the home category?
Yes, like, yeah, for the home category.
I certainly think that there's a lot of interested users, I would tell you, in the home category that want to be in the West Boca community. Working through, do we have the right size configuration, space allocation is something we're exploring, but I think home is a really interesting category that hasn't been fully saturated at all in this market, certainly.
Tough business.
I think you're doing it.
We have a gym. Uptown will have a gym.
Oh, in Uptown, okay.
We're gonna do a skyway too across, so you guys can just walk back and forth.
I don't think Sam saw Alex is on the agenda tonight. Anything we're not doing, Alex is doing, and vice versa.
They're gonna pay for it too.
Sure you will.
You know, being caught in a downpour today where I had to sit in my car before I went into Sprouts.
Thank you for shopping at Shadowood.
Yeah, I do every week, like several times. That walkway I see where you can go to stores and be under a covered area, is that gonna be throughout?
So the covered canopy is a feature that we are looking to introduce across a lot of parts of the property for the reason you just described. And we really want to make these places comfortable and usable for people, and we're aware of the environmental overlay in Florida where it rains every afternoon, 3 months a year, 4 months a year, 5 months a year. So yes, it may not be absolutely everywhere. There's some design considerations, but yes, the idea is to have some of these hard canopy covered areas. As you know, there are the hard canopies on the existing center as well, which will be making improvements to the under canopy and that general feel and experience as well.
Right, I'm sure that just hog the whole thing. And then outside, will there be opportunity to be eating outside or having coffee outside?
Yes.
And if you've ever been to Paris, what they do is they have all the seats facing the roadway, so that you can actually see people walking. What we do in the United States is we have everybody around a table, and you don't get a chance to really communicate with other people.
It's a great point. I think this European sensibility and this feeling of a downtown and a really organic place is what we seek to deliver on. And that's our hope, really. A lot of these areas are contemplated as a little cafe, whether it's your Panther Coffee or your local entrepreneur who wants to open a cafe. Over here, same thing in here. Rather than it being inward, you're looking out into the green space. Kids are playing. Your kids can go play, and you're not concerned that they're going to be hit by a car or whatever it may be, which is the case in most South Florida shopping centers. So I think it's great input, and I think that's actually the void in West Boca, is places like that where you can really have those experiences.
Just one more thing, I would like to thank you for, in Uptown Boca, I bring my grandkids to the ice cream place, and we eat in the Japanese restaurant, and we just watch them running up and down whatever those structures are. It's just awesome, so thank you.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I will say, thank you for that. I will say one thing, and I wasn't planning on saying this tonight, and I really, truly will tell you that when you go through these projects, and it's easy for me to come up here and tell you, because you guys can look and feel and see Uptown, and it's gone well, right? So I had a very easy job tonight. Nicole's job is much more difficult. She's here trying to discuss a new project that's coming to the market. I will tell you, Nicole is the best in the business. I am not kidding. She is considered one of the best in our business in what she does. As Scott said on the way over here, she is good people. And so you took a bet on us because we lived in the market, we grew up in the market, our parents developed in the market. Nicole cares about this market as much as we do, and she really wants to deliver the right project for the community. So from the support element, you couldn't find a better developer to do what they're trying to do. And I will tell you that this type of development that they're designing is not the easiest type of development to pull off. These are difficult retail deals because they're internal retail, and not every retailer has visibility. So if there's anybody that can curate the merchandising mix that can be curated for this, it is Eden's and it is Nicole, because she understands the market. And I think they'll pull this off. This will be an amazing project. It will truly lift the bar of West Boca, and you will all benefit from it. And you're really lucky to have Nicole on this project. So I just wanted to make sure, and it's going to definitely make West Boca, and I know exactly the old Shadowood, because I used to go to the movie theater here as a kid, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Until you said it, I didn't remember it, but you're right, this was the old Shadowood. Yes, so that's pretty cool that they're bringing it back too. So it is really neat.
I have to go pull that site plan in 1984. Yeah.
And it'll have
know.
Yeah.
You could have saved us a lot of time. We spent
Well, I
lots
know,
of
because I
time.
had gymnastics for that.
So this really isn't a new approval, by the way. This is just a redo of an old
Yeah, we don't
approval.
even need to, exactly, we don't need to go
It's all
through
administrative.
entitlements. Well, that was very kind, Alex, thank you. And I will say, these guys set the tone in a market that no one believed could be done, so it's a love fest. It's good, you've had your.
I've got a few questions.
Sure.
All right, so phase one with the existing retailers, are they gonna be changed? Or are they gonna be the same? I mean, what's the plan for that? What's the timing on that as well?
Sure, and when you say phase one, you mean this sort of piece of the property?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, there's existing lease term for the most part. Strategically, we have a view, as Eden's the owner, which of these tenants are sort of long-term tenants who can really thrive in the West Boca ecosystem, and which ones maybe need to be upgraded to higher, better tenancy. I will tell you, in every property we own, there are tenants, legacy tenants, that are so core to the community, and identifying which those are and making sure they can stay and be successful is very important to us. Like at Lakeside, Foxes is an example of that. We learned early on, we're like, you couldn't necessarily tell it within the first 2 weeks, and then you learn how they speak to the community, and you realize you got to find a way to keep them there and make them successful. And so there will be selective identification of tenants and retailers like that are the lifeblood of this community, and they speak to this community, and you have to keep them there. There are some existing vacancies, very few actually. There's some leasing that's been happening already, and some turn that's expected. We view that as the first opportunity and the first overlay of the remerchandising. From a strategy perspective, we're really focused in this first overlay on beginning the upgrading and beginning to deliver tenancy that I think is more needed in this community. You know, some best-in-class services I think are missing today in terms of the offering. And we've already had some opportunities selectively to do a few early deals to upgrade in that space. There's a few spaces, the Boston Market space being a good one, the former Boston Market, where, you know, we think we can upgrade the food program and really bring in some statement food users who drive a new daily trip and really deliver maybe on a need that's not met today. So we absolutely envision in this first row, whether it's a half a dozen deals, maybe slightly more if we get a few more spaces back, where in the immediate term, you're going to start to see improvement,
Right, so
tenancy-wise.
that kind of speaks to the timing as well then, because the work in progress that will progress over a period of time, which looks like 2 years out, longer?
I would say this first refresh, as I noted, will be underway as of later this year. And again, recognizing that there's a bigger redevelopment to come, we really felt it was important up front, soon after acquisition, to go and show the market who we are, what we mean, what we intend to do here. So this is all going to be happening over let's call it the next 6 months. This piece, the execution of this first phase of retail, I'm hopeful that we'll be in a position where we have approvals for that next summer. And after permitting, we're starting at some point next year.
Wow.
Late, beginning of 26. Permitting can take some time.
Second question.
Maybe beginning of
Phase two, the number one concern is going to be traffic. So I'm sure you're thinking of it. Do you have anything in mind at this point in time? It sounds like it's going to be about 5 years out. Am I correct in that assumption?
It will, I think you're probably talking at least 3 to 4 years out, yes. Look, from a traffic perspective, obviously, we're not in the weeds yet of running the calcs and so on. As we progress through this, we'll certainly come back with that. The one comment I will make, though, on traffic is what's unique about this project, in the event that we were to go a residential mixed-use path, is you would be losing substantial retail square footage. And so from a traffic count perspective, you likely would be net, if not better, off losing 100,000 square feet of retail, which is no longer creating trips because it's offline, and adding 250 apartments or whatever it may be. Again, the engineering team will run all of this, but what's unique here is that you're not adding net new density. You're replacing existing trips and existing density with something alternative potentially. And so if we were to pursue this plan where you add residential, we would be looking at losing close to 100,000 square feet of retail, of existing retail that is creating trips and that is counted in the trip count today. So I think the intuition that traffic's going to be a big problem is expected, but I think in the nuance of this, it likely would the math would show that it actually doesn't increase trips.
I would have to say that's optimistic, at best. The traffic for the existing retailers, and being a former retailer myself, I can tell you is minimal, because there's not much there that draws traffic. So, please consider that in any future planning, and I'm sure you're going to meet with us as this continues to develop.
Yeah, absolutely, and a very fair point in light of all the density coming online.
What is the gray area in the upper left corner?
This is the Best Buy, which exists today. The Best Buy.
Oh, I can't read what's written there.
Yeah, no problem. It's actually not written there. It's not written there. This is the Best Buy box, and we do not own that. It is a separate owner. And this is the Starbucks out parcel, which is also a separate owner. We do not, though we would love to own it all, if we do not own these pieces.
So Blaze is in there too, you don't own that?
We don't own that. And these two are actually separate owners.
And how about the front, like where Glow is and T-Mobile, do you own that?
We do.
Oh, okay.
We own everything but this gray box.
From my understanding, the development of that area is strictly zone commercial at this point, is that correct?
It is a commercial zone, correct?
Right, so you're gonna have to submit a plan to have it rezoned to add those residential units.
Scott is the technical expert on this.
So it's not technically a rezoning. This zoning category in the county allows residential under certain circumstances. But yes, we have to submit a plan and go through a process.
Right, so the council has to approve those plans in order for you to add the residential part of this plan.
Correct.
Okay, that's basically my question, because as the gentleman said, you're adding a massive amount of new traffic. There's gotta be parking for it, and all these other things. So basically, from the developer standpoint, you wanna have those residential units to maximize margins, because if you have the property already, why not add residential? But from people who already live here, we may not want to have all these additional residential units. And speaking of residential units, how many are you planning to build?
Again, it's very preliminary, but it would be around 250. The underlying land use we wouldn't allow for anything more dense than that, and we don't think it would be appropriate to do. 250, 260.
Do you know what you're planning for the residential?
The existing entitlements are in currently for approval at the moment. These plans that you're looking at have been submitted to the county. Again, we may not go in that direction, but if we do, we're contemplating rental.
You need to change your picture. And let me just say, I just want to get this straight, that there will not be a movie theater.
There will not be a movie theater.
Right. We don't. Just to make sure.
Not to take it away from West Boca, but have you guys have any projects in the north end of the county?
We do. I was just at one that we recently acquired earlier today. We just acquired an asset in Palm Beach Gardens. Oh, that's not in the county. That's north of that. of you.
It's in the county.
It's in Palm Beach County, but it's not unincorporated. It's city of Palm Beach Gardens. But we just acquired downtown Palm Beach Gardens, which is the big open air center in Palm Beach Gardens. We also own some property in Boynton. We own 2 shopping centers in Boynton.
I was just asking because I'm in the town of Lake Park.
I'm gonna hook you guys up.
He wants to reassess your property, just want to know what
I was gonna say, I was gonna come and renegotiate my property.
I was just saying I'm very interested in the town of Lake Park.
Tell them who you are.
I'm the mayor.
Oh, awesome. Maybe I will renegotiate.
So just set my contact.
Yes, I have a card. I have a card.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank Scott, Alex. You're definitely an asset to West Boca. We appreciate you working with us. There's some developers that are not so willing to come and work with us. We know, that we've got something stirring in Boca Lago, townhomes, massive amounts of townhomes. We're going to follow that, keep our eye on that, and hopefully the developer will want to come out and talk to the residents on what their plans are, so that everybody's aware of it. And as soon as I have all the information, I certainly will share that with you. But Nicole, thank you so much. Scott, thank you. Alex,
Thank you all very much.
Thank
Can we
you
get
all.
all those little booklets back, please? Yeah, thank you.
For making it a big success.
Thank you so much.
And our chief joined us tonight. Thank you for coming. And if you were at last month's meeting or the meeting before, we're working on a program, Adopt a Fire Station, which we are going to do a full presentation on. We're looking for communities or businesses to help us out and sponsor a fire station, whether it's for their cable TV or their coffee and things like that. So plan on that. If you're on your board, go talk to your board. Once we give you the information and help us out with that, we appreciate it. Next month's meeting will be, I already said, October 8th. October 8th. We're trying to keep them here. We have a problem with having the meetings at the library. If you try and rent there, you can only rent like once every 60 days and can't be the same person. So it will most likely be here. So thank you everybody for coming out. Also Representative Skidmore in the back.
The library can accommodate, you can only accommodate so many.